One Piece chapter 838 proper. This chapter start off with Luffy versus Cracker. Cracker gets up after the Kungun, and apparently they go at it again, and Luffy throws another Kungun and basically destroys the upper half of Cracker. Now, something comes out of Cracker and almost slices Luffy's arms completely off. Like I'm talking, the sword was like a quarter of the way in, and that shit was epic. I wanted to see something that gruesome for so long, like to put Luffy on edge to know that shit is really getting serious. I'm gonna talk more about that at the end of this chapter, but either ways, so after Cracker comes out of the shell of him, so to speak, Luffy starts thinking that who is he? And the guy starts to go on that he's Cracker, and that what Luffy destroyed was actually basically a armor of him. And he basically praises Luffy because no one else has even gotten close to destroying his armor. And it's been so long that even his Cracker armor that he usually had, it's his bounty poster's face. Now that would mean that apparently all of his opponents haven't gotten past that armor. Else I'm sure someone would have gotten a shot of his real face. But either ways, he goes into he shows Luffy the Wonder Poster, and then he goes in to say that he wears an armor because he simply hates pain. I'm gonna touch on that too at the end of this. So he basically goes into saying to describe the devil fruit, the bis fruit. I thought that was a cool name too. Bis fruit, not like the biscuit fruit, but short bis. Thought that was cool. So he goes into explaining to Luffy that he can control biscuits at his will, at the snap of a finger. I also talked about this in a past video, how other people uses their devil fruit without an effort. Meanwhile, Luffy has to struggle. But other ways, let me get back into it. So he goes into explaining how he can create basically walking shields of himself from the biscuit, and how he's been evolving this technique. So he basically has like 6 or 7 of them now. So Luffy goes in with a new move, Kong Organ. It's basically like what is it called? The Gatling. It's basically like a Gatling, but the Kong version. And he seems to be destroying the armors. But now, Cracker uses this against him and hides behind it and does his pretzel roll again, but a new move, honey pretzel roll I think it's called, and Luffy dodges it. And apparently that's the end of their fight. Now we go into Nami. Nami's basically the king of the tree and King Bound. She's hiding inside of him using the River card against them. And she's basically pulling a Usopp, making the trees scared of her instead of Big Mom and Cracker, or the inanimate objects as well. She's basically using that against them. Then we go into Chopper and Carrot stuck in the mirror wall, where we go into the name of the Chopper, where Chopper asks Carrot to call him Brother Chopper. Apparently Chopper has a plan, which is a great plan as well, to use Brulee's powers against her. So Carrot calls Chopper proper. I do think that name is lame, but I don't know. So basically, I'm gonna touch on that as well at the end of this review. So after we go into Carrot and Chopper, we go into Pedro and Brook. Apparently they snuck into a biscuit soldier, but this biscuit soldier apparently seemed like it was created by Cracker, but it's controlled by souls from Big Mom, which is genius, because Cracker's armor is practically impenetrable to a strong human being. You have to be like ultimately strong, like Luffy in Gear 4, to even get past the armor. So I thought that was genius. And she also has a limitless supply of them. So now we go into the next day on Whole Cake Island. I want to touch on this too at the end of the review. apparently Sanji's arriving there at the port, and also his other two brothers arrive. And before we go into that, we go into Big Mom. Big Mom also states that today is the day of the wedding, and she's wondering if Luffy's talk was basically that, just all talk. And she's saying, and the hat was talking to her. Hat was basically saying that even if they manage to get here unscathed, they still have to go through you, which is like a 0% chance. So I don't know if Luffy knows what they're doing, but they have to come up with a better plan. I don't know, something more sneakier than what Big Mom has. But basically, Sanji's two brothers arrive from the war on Broccoli that we saw a couple chapters ago on Broccoli Island. Brothers 1 and 2, sparkling red and electric blue. And apparently, when Sanji sees them, he shivers. Don't know why. But either ways, I'm gonna now talk about the stuff that I want to touch on during this chapter. When Luffy goes in for the Kong gun and Cracker almost slices his arm off, I thought that was an epiphany that the readers here need to have of another feat to how dangerous the New World is. And especially dangerous towards Luffy. Not just towards anyone, but towards Luffy. And also, Cracker coughed up blood. The armor of him coughed up blood, and he said that he concocted from jam. Apparently, that better be some good jam. Some realistically looking jam. Better be some good shit. But, either ways, he says that he hates pain. Now, he was wrong to tell Luffy that. Now, if by chance Luffy uses that against him, listen, a jet pistol will hurt, so imagine a Kong gun or a King Kong gun. Listen, if he hates pain, apparently it could be a one-hit KO. If he hates pain, that would mean he's not used to having pain or can absorb a blow and get back up. A real blow. But, listen. So, Nami's basically pulling the Usopp. Thought was genius. And I also thought it was like a kind of change of a character for her. Like adapting to the situation. Sort of like what Usopp does. Now we go into the whole inside the mirror. Like a ton of upside down stairs. Thought it was looked more like a Wonderland. More like something out of Scooby-Doo. But now the main thing I wanted to talk about was that after the fight and after we seen with Chopper and Carrot and Pedro, we go into the next day. But before I touch on that, let me get into Pedro and Brook. Apparently they're gonna sneak inside the soldier's armor, and once the soldier returns to his storage, which is in Big Mom's castle, they're gonna sneak in there somehow. Now, it seems like a good plan, but I'm wondering how they got inside the soldier in the first place. Now we're going to the next day. We all know it took Luffy about a day to defeat Doflamingo. So now I'm wondering what happened during the time space that we're not seeing for that next day section. Because it's basically the day of the wedding. Like the biggest moment here. And I don't know what Luffy'S has done. And also, I think that's about it I'm going to touch on in this video. I'm going to probably make another one. But either way, if you guys like, subscribe. If you guys didn't like, dislike. But either way, this chapter deserves a 9 out of 10. It's not going to get the 1 point because it's obviously on a break. Anticlimactic. It affects things. And also, we got good parts, but we didn't get enough of it. Like the fight against Luffy and Cracker, I definitely wanted to see more because it's been going on for like 4 chapters now. Definitely wanted to see more and to see it come to an end, especially seeing that we're on the day of the wedding. Again, 9 out of 10. So definitely subscribe and comment. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah.